Parish orphans and retrogrades. Parish orphans and retrogrades. Magnifica Humanitas is finally here. That is Pope Leo XIV's first papal encyclical. And if you are like me, any shade of traditional Catholic, your reaction is probably going to be complicated. On the one hand, Pope Leo XIV, who's been a silent pope, comparatively speaking to Francis, over the course of this first year of his pontificate, delivers some of the strongest papal critiques we've seen of transhumanism, technocracy, that's good, artificial intelligence, and the reduction of the human person to raw data. He insists that machines can never possess a soul, the technology must remain subordinate to human dignity, that the family remains the foundational school of love, and that lethal decisions can never be handed over to algorithms. So that's really good. None of that sounds bad at all. So what do we think of Pope Leo, who's supposed to be this man of the left? There are passages, and I'm going to cite 6 of them, that I think are pretty good in this document that may sound, and should sound, remarkably consonant with the concerns that many traditional Catholics have been raising for years. So you might hear Pope Leo XIV echoing several of your own concerns. I would, if I had to guess, count it as 6. But he is a man of the left. There are also sections that are likely to raise your hackles, to provoke significant debate. Leo declares that just war theory is now outdated. That's a direct quote. I can't believe that. It's a proposition of natural law. How can a proposition of natural law be outdated? Well, he says it. He speaks positively about international governance structures. He offers sharp critiques of concentrated economic power. It doesn't sound 1,000% bad, but he, like his predecessor, seems not to like free enterprise. He emphasizes dialogue is the central modus of engagement with the modern world. This sounds dangerously close to Spirit of Vatican II, fruit basket, coffee clutch. That's mixing metaphors, right? Fruit basket and coffee clutch. And we don't like that. Perhaps most controversially, he writes that truth is not a territory to be defended, but a good to be shared. I honestly think that just war theory might be it, but this is most ideologically comprehensively left. A phrase that some traditionalists, like myself, will hear as, I don't know, deeply problematic. Some people call it deeply evangelical, but I think it's deeply problematic. So in today's episode of Rules for Retrogrades, we're going to walk through 12 key flashpoints in Magnifica Humanitas, 6 passages that many traditional Catholics will likely applaud, and 6 that many will almost certainly question. And most importantly, we'll ask whether Pope Leo is developing the Catholic tradition, departing from it, or perhaps doing something more complicated than either his supporters or his critics are willing to admit. I think that's just departing from it. I don't think it's a legitimate Hegelian third, but let's dive into it and we will try to find out together. But first, I want to remind you that if you are a regular viewer of Rules for Retrogrades and you support the books and the projects undertaken by this channel, I call them the pillars of the channel. The very least you can do is subscribe to the channel if you watch repeatedly and you're not subscribed, and click the notification bell so you know when we go live. That's really important. Like the video, leave a comment also, but it's not as important as subscribing because we hit a standstill on subscribers and we're being messed with by the algorithm. So help us that way. Now, if you want to help a little bit more, you can do so on Locals. Rules for retrogrades.locals. That's where you can support me. You can get free stuff, sneak peeks. You can interact with me extra. It's a really great replacement for Patreon, since after all, I was kicked off of Patreon for defending Catholic teaching on the groin, the groinal region of the human being. Patreon didn't like that. They didn't like the way I type, and they kicked me off. Locals, rules for retrogrades today. If you support at $13 a month or more, we'll call it 12. We will send you a parish orphan patron pack that has cool hard goods like a button, a God Bless the Patriarchy button, 2 fridge magnets that are handsome little versions of the book, the 2 books that are the most characteristic of this channel, Catholic Republic and The Case for Patriarchy. You'll also get a hand-embroidered reactionary chic stitchcraft by none other than the beautiful Mrs. Stephanie Gordon, or her real name, Mrs. Timothy J. Gordon. She signs it on the back, and they're really cool. They're memento mori. You also get some stickers, and the packet comes in, looks like Mr. Skull here, Calvin the Capuchin, who represents the channel. Go to Locals
So I'll
today.
just pipe in to say that we are doing a members only Q&A tomorrow.
Yes, so we're skipping it right now after the show, but we'll just do Q&A, ask me anything kind of deal.
We're just going to do a chill stream with all the members on Locals, Subscribestar, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you subscribe on any of those platforms, check, the link is already up on those platforms. So,
what time tomorrow?
Oh, let me look. I'll tell people.
Is that a little right after lunch, I think?
I think it's like at 1. Let me look.
What we want to do, I think this would be cool to get the full flavor of Timothy J. Gordon, the channel, is I want to get a nice wooden, a small little wooden shelf here, down low, below the Deus Vult sign, and a nice wooden shelf up here, and put up some of my ancient NBA basketball cards that people remember from the first year you ever watched me, many of you, on Taylor Marshall's channel. And it was cool. It was cool to have, a little bit of me. Everyone puts themselves in front of their bookshelf. Like, these are all the books I read. I read these books. And it's like a caveman version of a smart guy. I read them books. And I mean, like, most people haven't even read all the books in the bookshelves. I haven't. I have lots of bookshelves. I've read a lot of them, but I haven't read all of them. And I just think it's corny and boring. So I think it's cooler to have something that actually might represent you. I don't know. That's just me. So
the Q&A for the members tomorrow is at 1. So if you're listening to this, it'll be May 30th at 1 o'clock. If you're subscribing on Twitter, YouTube, Subscribestar, or Locals, we're doing just a chill stream, just a live Q&A. Come with any and all questions you may have for Mr. Timothy Gordon, and he will answer them.
Yeah.
Under pain of death.
Yeah, look at this. I'm just hanging out here. I'm going to get to the encyclical in a second. I've been putting it off because it's boring. Can you see that? This is not a rookie card or anything, but this is a what they call a tall boy. Classic. What is it? 1961 Fleer? No. Sorry. 1971 Topps, and it's signed by Mr. Jerry West. The logo. And his longtime running mate, kind of rival, Oscar Robertson. This is not either of their rookie cards, but they're both autographed and slabbed. This is what I'm working with up here. I mean, on the, I don't know. I want to put some of the classic NBA cards up. I have a Kobe rookie over here. I just like stuff around my desk to keep me from getting bored. I'm the last cry, the furthest reach from, I don't know, those people that lose their attention span really quickly. What do they call them? What did they call them in the OC? ADHD, ADD. I don't get bored. What did happen to those guys? Those ADD guys that were always talking about it. I think they're just stuffed with Ritalin in the 90s when they're first really aggressively condemning masculinity. But I'm not one of those guys, but I like stuff around me that I like. And I would be really proud to have a shelf there and one maybe, here, maybe lower the sign or something. I think it would be cool. I think it would be a cool add-on for the channel. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you this, other than it's a Friday and it's a bit of a chill stream. We're talking about Magnifica Humanitas. And there's some predictable notes. 6 obvious bad ones. I wasn't expecting the just war is obsolete. That's kind of shocking. There's 6 kind of good ones that are easy sort of gimmies, but I'll give him his gimmies. Do you want to get it up, Stevie? Maybe we could do a thing where if you go to oh, you're going downstairs. Okay. Steph sometimes sneaks downstairs now that we have this little baby.
Producing the show at the same
we
time.
have this tiny little human over to our left.
I have to go check on my salmon.
My salmon. All right.
So why don't you just hang out here for a second? I'm going to pop down for like 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right. So let's jump into let's start with the good. Because, I don't want to be one of these doom scrolling, doom saying trads. That's not all we do on this channel. It's not. So against transhumanism, this is the first category of, I think, nice articulation by Pope Leo XIV in MH. The things that we can all pretty much get behind. Against transhumanism, contra transhumanism. Machines can't replace humans. Sort of take that, James Cameron. The robots will not be our masters. I once named one of my it was a very good league. It was a men's league. It was an A- men's basketball league I played in when I was 29, 30, 31. Lots of NCAA players actually played in San Diego when I was in law school. And we named our team the Robot Overlords because we thought that was funny. But so the robots should not be our overlords. That's the second major positive theme that I can stand behind in MH. I'm gonna read you 2 paragraphs in each that substantiate each of these themes, and I'll say, look, he articulates it well. So first is against transhumanism. Second is machines can't replace us. They won't be our robot overlords. I don't want a robot as an overlord. Do you? I certainly don't. And Pope Leo XIV says we shouldn't expect that. A broad critique of what we might refer to broadly as technocracy. That's the third critique that I think is robust, toward, healthy, admonishable. The fourth is the importance of family. The importance of family and the irreducibility of family. That's the fourth good theme. The fifth good theme that Leo expresses quite ably here is the value of work and labor. I mean, these aren't cutting edge goods, right? That he's a man of the left, Pope Leo XIV. He was elected to be Francis's predecessor. So we're counting our goods where we can get them. These aren't cutting edge based right-wing stuff, no matter what the LARPs online say. But I'm giving him credit where due. So theme 5 is, he says, the value of human work and labor is good. Okay, got it. And theme number 6 that I stand behind is his rejection of autonomous killing by AI, sort of return to what I said about James Cameron, Terminator 2, Terminator 1, really Terminator 3. So I think the timeline really got lost and mixed up in those movies. We don't want AI killing us. Again, will robots be our masters? What's up, Andrew Coleman? I love you, bro. Yeah, that's dope. He's saying he can help me with those shelves if I like. Maybe slap on the Aristotle and Plato with basketballs from the school of Athens. I think that's dope. I like that a lot. I like that a whole lot. That's a good idea. Yeah, I have that on a shirt. Aristotle's doing, Plato's doing this and Aristotle's doing that. And someone put a basketball in each of their hands. And we got to get like a framed little picture of that. I think that's sick. That's a great idea. And I love it. And Andrew's, Coleman Handcrafted is his business, and he's been on the show before. He's a great friend of our family, and generally that's a great idea. And I just want to make it as decorative as possible. It helps keep enthusiasm high to have environs that one thrives in, and that's what I like. I don't like it down. I don't like making it look like a basement. I'm not trying to be Gen X-y and dour or goth or anything like that. I like the brick wall look. I think it's very cool. I like the neon light look. I like the Jesus saves, like fundy evangelical thing, because Jesus does save. They don't own it. I like Deus Vult because it tells you who I am. I like the, I don't know. It's cool. It's a neat setup in here. And again, thanks to all of my 3 friends, Julian and co, for helping us get it set up in here. It's an honor to do this. I'm in a good mood on a Friday. So we're trying to be as positive as we can. We're going to go through where Pope Leo said what he said. And, those themes that I can stand behind are contra transhumanism. Machines can't replace us. We shouldn't have robot overlords. I don't want to be like a sex slave for a robot, right? Do you?
Is that one of your like league basketball names?
I told them that.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. I just
Named
came
by
back from
me.
checking the salmon.
Named
Sorry.
by me, yeah.
Catch up, Stephanie.
Another year we named our team
Harry Potter's dead mom.
Yeah, I suggested that. No one wanted Harry Potter's dead mom, just to be weird. What was it? Oh, it was Dishonorable Sense, or the Dishonorable Senseis.
Yeah, and I thought there was
after Mr. John Kreese himself.
Of course, yeah. And I thought there was
everyone wants an honorable Miyagi type sensei, but what if you enroll in some dojo and your sensei is just this deeply dishonorable like combat vet, aka John Kreese, and he makes you think that aggression is the key to life or whatever? Then you become some evil bully.
We're so used to seeing like an honorable sensei given to us in the media.
Yeah.
We're not too used to the dishonorable sensei motive.
So I thought that would be a hoot.
So thanks.
That would be a larf. So
people are asking if you're going hunting after the show.
No, I just didn't want you to be able to see anything below my Cheshire cat head. You can't see shit. So don't talk like you can't.
You're blending into your
environment. Can't even see me. I'm about to drive by on a 187 on a Friday afternoon. I'm really not, so don't call the cops. But you can't even see me. So number 2, machines can't replace humans. No robot overlords, even though it's a sweet name for an adult men's basketball team. Critique of technocracy, family importance. It looks like I wrote family impotence for theme number 4, but that's no good, right? That's something to be combated with modern medicine. Value of work and labor. This is kind of a snooze, but it's a nice thing he wrote. And then the rejection of autonomous killing by AI. That sounds like the very opening scene of T2. Nothing's more James Cameron than rejection of autonomous killing by AI. Yeah, even machines can't replace us.
Very, very alarming.
Very alarming. Okay, so that sounds like a little baby.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just turn off my mic.
Okay, so let's just read this first paragraph in the introduction. Then I'm not going to do this. Then I'm going to read you the 2 against transhumanism paragraphs, deliver a little something, and move on, because as you can anticipate, my 6 negatives, 6 thematic no-nos that I took away from this are more sharp than my fervor or enthusiasm with regard to the 6th pats on the back I would give. I know he's in charge. He's the Pope. I'm not saying I'm giving him an actual attaboy. I'm just, I'm commenting. So he opens up saying humanity, created by God in all its grandeur, is today facing a pivotal choice, either to construct a new Tower of Babel or to build the city in which God and humanity dwell together. Each generation inherits the task of shaping its own era, of guiding history to become a place where the dignity of every person is safeguarded, justice is promoted, and fraternity is made possible. Yet every era also runs the risk of creating an inhumane and more unjust world. Whenever humanity is in danger of marring its true identity, we Christians lift our eyes to the incarnate God, knowing that it is only in the mystery of the Word made flesh that the mystery of humanity truly becomes clear. In Jesus Christ, this humanity in its grandeur becomes the way, the truth, and the life, opening the path for each of us to grow toward fullness. So you're not going to balk at that, but it's not very exciting. It's not like you could balk at it if you tried. The first thing that he says that I think is laudable is against transhumanism. And that begins in paragraph 66, ends in 70. I mean, 66 and 72 are the main ones here. Okay. So, like, let me look at 72. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just do one paragraph because I think he's pretty repetitive. Okay, let's start there. Yeah, I just want. Actually, I don't even know if I need to read from these. Let's
end the show.
Yeah, let's just go bye. Okay. I think I've been doing shows that are too long recently, so I'm just calling an audible. I don't think I need to read these full paragraphs.
You just give us a summary.
Yeah, let's just do summary. So, what he says against transhumanism is this is more commentary anyway. He restates that human beings are made in the imago Dei. And what this entails is understanding that there is a human soul that is unlike the animal soul or the plant soul. And a lot of you people say, oh, plants and animals don't have souls. They actually do, because there's a kind of ergon, an eidos ergon that is associated with plants. They're not, everything living in the Aristotomist model has a soul. So a plant, because it is technically plant life, it does something, and it comes in couplets. So the plant soul corresponds to nutrition and growth, and
they're not obviously like going to heaven.
They're
right?
bodily souls. So they're bodily souls that are not that correspond only to their parts. That's the important thing. So nutrition and growing are both associated with their organelles that enable them to self-nutrify and to grow. The animal soul, also mortal, contains the two parts of the plant soul, right? Nutrition and growth. Every plant can grow and nutriate itself, and so can every animal. But animals, in their soul, they have two extra functionalities. They can move, they can locomote, and most animals anyway, more what would you call it? Diversified, complex life has 5 senses. So 5 senses and locomotion are two things that plants generally can't do. Plants can't get up on their hind legs and run around, and they don't have 5 senses. That'd be creepy. That's like plants that come to life. That's an ant, my friend. And then you add in the two sort of imago Dei things, and that would be animal life. Okay, so both of those couplets correspond to the organelles or the organs or the microbiological systems comprising a plant or an animal, and therefore when the organs shut down, every piece of the plant or animal soul shuts down as well. Therefore, it's entirely mortal. That's why there's no functionality which survives death. The human soul is the plant plus the animal couplets, those 4 things, which all die at natural death when the organelles start breaking down. But human beings have a rational will, which is geared toward loving, and of course, an intellect, which is geared toward knowing the truth, loving the good, knowing the truth. And those 2 extra pieces of the human soul come with having a rational animal soul or a human soul separate us from the animals. We have the functionality of animal and plant soul because we can self-nutriate, we can grow, we can locomote, and we have 5 senses. But we also have these 2 other parts which will not stop on death, which survive death. All the other 4 parts of us and the equivalents of our plant and animal souls do die. That's because our bodies die. Those 2 parts, knowing the truth and loving the good, or our intellect and our rational will, don't correspond to any failing system of organelles and will survive death. So immediately, we cannot bodily survive death in our animal bodies, which is what the transhumanists want to do. But the transhumanists also, they glorify the body to the effect of diminishing the soul. They don't even believe that there's life after death. So we say the transhumanists are wrong. We don't need to have our bodies live forever. We have the soul which is the human soul, which is immortal, comprised of will and intellect, which will be rejoined with a body at the general judgment. And the push for technology, Pope Leo XIV notes in the couple paragraphs on transhumanism, is faulty because it's pushed by a fake exigency, a pseudo need to live forever. And that's what transhumanism is, and that's what AI and other emergent technologies are in the hands of the transhumanists. And this is stupid because we've already got it made in the shade. I mean, it's kind of sucks. If your dog knew he had to die a natural death, he would be filled by existential angst, existential dread. He would hate himself, and he would be like a chain-smoking Kafka reader, right? And that would, but of course, the irony is if he had the rational soul, which could capacitate being a chain-smoking Kafka reader, he would be actually a human being, and he wouldn't be out of luck. But animals and plants aren't really out of luck. They just cease to be when their natural systems fail. We don't have to worry about that. We've already got it made in the shade, especially because of the soteriological components of Christ on the cross, the real purpose of Genesis 1 and 2. He was necessitated to die on the cross for us so that our rational will and intellect could survive not in hell, but in heaven. Okay, now he'll say, in the second major theme that's laudable is Pope Leo will argue machines can't replace humans, and everything stems from this Imago Dei. It's because human beings can do unique things with their rational will and their intellect that they can never be replaced by AI, even if cheap illegal immigration employing employers would have it that way to cut costs, to save on their bottom line. The proof of this, that machines can't ever replace humans, is, remember what slowed up AI 25 years ago? This was supposed to be a major breakthrough in the late 90s. What slowed it up that you can see evidence of in your day-to-day life if you're trying to sign into your Amazon account is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is a unique feature of the human intellect. Even though machines can do computations and permutations 1 million, 100 million times faster than human beings, and AI can do it this fast as well, it doesn't recognize patterns, which is why if you want to sign into your Amazon account, it'll ask you a question that's simple for you to recognize a pattern. Which of these things doesn't go with the other? It'll be things with wheels, a plane, a train, an automobile. Which of these things can be shattered? It'll be glass objects. The machine, no matter how fast it can compute, because it's not an actual artificial intelligence, it's just a vague ressembler of in artificial intelligence. And insofar as it's a vague ressembler of artificial intelligence, it is a dissembler. Okay, so it can't actually do the intellectual functions that a human soul can do, and pattern recognition is what held it up. Its pattern recognition got a little better, but that's why you can get into your Amazon account, but a bot can't. Now, even if it could overcome some hurdle in this capacity, what it will never have is a will. There will never be a driver behind the wheel. We do things because we're animated by the first principle of practical reason. The first principle of practical reason, as articulated by Thomas Aquinas, is, are basically do the good, avoid the evil. AIs can't be driven by this. So it requires these two components of Imago Dei to get actual work done. Now, I know I use sometimes AI myself. There's nothing wrong with it. And Leo's very clear on this. You can use it. But remember when trads were saying it was demons and you can't use, they probably said this about the first telephone by Alexander Graham Bell or first radio by Mr. Marconi. It's not demons. It's just fast computations and a wide sweep of the internet that will use the law of averages in your time efficiency, time-saving favor. Great. Just don't trust it too much. Machines can't replace humans. Number 3, he gives a broad sweeping critique of technology, which encompasses a lot of the points I just made. Technology, it's almost, I don't want to call it a Marxist critique, right? But it's almost Kojève's, Alexander Kojève's Hegelian left critique, master-slave critique in the Phenomenology of Geist by Hegel, which is a famous passage Alexander Kojève gives where he says, look, all master-slave relations are characterized by a dichotomy. There's a duel to the death, which it's funny, he just assumes out of hand that there will be this duel to the death between these two guys. The master enslaves the slave. The slave does work for the master. And the master enjoys all the spoils of being a master. To the victor go the spoils. But insofar as the slave toils each day and it gets stronger, the opposite happens to the master. He spoliates and becomes weaker and flabbier. And then the slave will re-challenge the master, eventually subjugate the master, throw him under, and he will become the master. This is the supposed Aufhebung of Hegel, except this is this particular moment in the history of Geist, human spirit. I'm not saying Leo endorses all that, but he gives a critique of technology that it weakens us, that our victory is our defeat, that in getting comfortable, we get flabby, and in having a mechanical and now AI extra mechanical advantage, hyper mechanical advantage, our intellects become flabby, if you will. And that's the critique of technology that I think all of us can agree with, even if we're not Kojèvian Marxists or left Hegelian Marxists. So, and he doesn't actually cite Kojève here. Now, the importance of family is beautiful. He sounds, I would say, in these paragraphs like John Paul II, who was really, you could tell what John Paul II sort of got hoodwinked into writing. And it's a lot of stuff I critique JP2 for, but when he writes on the family, you can tell it's from the heart and it's beautiful and he believes in it. Single cell of society, original cell of society is the human family, original society. It's really where we're made or broken. And Leo XIV repeats this, and I would say that the importance of the family in the paragraphs where he writes on the family, he's also saying the family's the delimiter. You got to watch your kids with technology. It's a tough call to make. We never let our kids have phones, but we did let them get iPads, and we're kind of wishing we had that one back. Everyone's got to make his own prudential, phronetical judgment on this one with your practical intellect, but it's tough. And sometimes you wish you could mulligan and have that one back. But the family is overall the place where reign is enjoyed by parents. There's no perfect parent, there's no perfect child, but we, other than Jesus and the Holy Family, we do our best. And if you continue to do your best, then not only will you give your kid the touch grass type actual Dasein experiences, Dasein meaning being there, go throw a ball in the grass with your dad. Don't play a virtual game like Minecraft of a kid throwing a ball with his dad. Though I do play Minecraft with my kids. I started this week just because they like it. But that I also go out and get up jump shots with my son. So you got to do that. And the family is the cradle of love. And it's the cradle, it's the nursery where we first learn how to really be a human being. The magnificence of humanity is dependent more than anything on the family working. The fifth laudable theme is the value of work and labor. This one I'm not going to go through, okay? He talks about the value of work and labor. You obviously get more virtue, you build more muscle, you achieve more, accomplish more, and it's good for your soul to toil and then to feel good about your toil when you do the report yourself and you don't use AI to write your book report. You read the book yourself and you do the book report yourself. That's essentially what Pope Leo is saying in this fifth laudable theme in, yeah, I'll use the AI. A lot of people are saying to themselves. And then the sixth laudable theme is he says, we must reject autonomous killing by AI. This is the most James Cameron, Terminator 2, Terminator 1, all the Terminators that this gets. We don't want robots to be our masters, as Homer tells Marge in an old golden era episode of Simpsons. And I couldn't agree more. I do not want a robot overlord unless we're talking, my old basketball team. So I think that's a fair synopsis of I'm trying to give credit where it's due. This Pope is probably not my guy, but I'm trying to give actual credit where it's due. So good job stating these relatively obvious truths about the human condition with accuracy and with a little bit of delicacy. Kudos. Now, we come to the 6 critiques. And yes, my critiques of Pope Leo XIV and MH are sharper than my quotable notables because they're kind of unforced errors. The way really any pope who crafts an error into a teaching moment, a teaching document, an encyclical, a bull, it's an unforced error. See, there's never really an excuse because you're not speaking off the cuff. It's not an airplane presser coming from Ireland, the old Pope Francis thing. You're publishing it. You have editors. You have ghostwriters. Every error was, we have to assume, intended here. So to say that, I'm going to start with truth is not a territory to be defended. And I do think here, I'll read you the direct quote. On social doctrine as a shared discernment. This is paragraph 25. I'm not going to read directly from all of them, but this is one of the worst ones. Understanding that the truth is a gift to be shared, not a possession to be monopolized. Frees the church from the temptation of seeking forms of presence based on power. I don't know what this means. He sounds like Francis all of a sudden. It's BS. It's fluff. It's folderol. It's piffle. It doesn't make any sense, but all that is expressed to you, the listener or reader, is something social justice-y, right? In order to rediscover the evangelical approach of a gentle proclamation of truth that is not imposed, sounds like Francis. What does that mean to impose truth? St. John Paul, II, invited us to examine honestly the times when acquiescence was given to intolerance and even the use of violence in the service of truth. What are you talking about? Just say it. This is what I mean, even Francis, as directly a man of the far left as he was, he wouldn't just say stuff. Sometimes he would. If he was annoyed on a presser, he would. But in his documents, he wouldn't just say, what are you talking about? What do you think? When did we give acquiescence to intolerance and even the use of violence in the service of truth? What do you actually mean, Holy Father? In the same vein, I too have reaffirmed that the church does not claim to possess a monopoly on truth because truth is not a territory to be defended, but a good to be shared. I think this is a Francis quote. Let me see. That's 17. Oh, he might have, I think he might be citing himself. That's very Pope Francis, if that's the case, because it's from May 2025. Quote 18 is, let's go back, is from Pope Francis. He does it here. For his part, Pope Francis expressed this same perspective in his striking phrase, time is greater than space. I guess that means what Leo just said. I don't get it. That's definitely a Francis quote. What matters most is not occupying positions of power or defending cultural strongholds, but initiating good processes and enabling them to mature. Don't know what this means, but it's a social justice type critique. I think of the church, it's a self-critique saying we shouldn't be colonizers of the truth or something. In this way, the truth of the gospel is not imposed from above, but grows over time within the concrete interweaving of lives, communities, and cultures. Now, you can guess what I'm going to say here. Take a guess while I read the last two sentences. This is not a truth that fears diversity, but instead welcomes and guides it. Actually, now it's the last two sentences. It does not eliminate conflicts, but transforms them, reuniting that which history tends to scatter. This concept can also be illustrated by the image of a multifaceted polyhedron. Does he think he is clarifying with this? Truth shouldn't be colonized. I want you to think of a multifaceted polyhedron, Steph, in which the one truth of the gospel is reflected from different angles. Now, this sounds like relativism. So
it reminds me whenever we rewrote Catholic Republic, when we tried to like kind of dumb it down, make it kind of like a dumbed down version, because the original version was very esoteric. And so you and I over the summer, we sat down and I was like, okay, if I can understand it, then everybody else can understand it. So let's just rewrite the whole thing. And I remember there was a particular paragraph where you were like, and I think this is going to be very clear. And what preceded was just like very unclear, like just thoughts. Like
technical language that was arcane to anyone but my own befuddled and bedeviled mind.
It was like sentences upon sentences of that.
Yeah.
This reminds me of that.
He's like, think about a polyhedron, but look above. I get what he's getting at, and it's bad. He's saying that he's back on Francis's point. What the actual does this mean? That truth is not a territory to be defended. He's talking about the gospel. So Jesus said, bring the gospel to all four corners of the earth. And this is the Great Commission. This is one of the primary three reasons that he got apostles who would become bishops. If you saw something floating in my water, that's lemon seeds. I take water with lemon. Not like debris or something, but
oh boy,
this does not sound like Jesus. This sounds like Francis, and that's more like, to me, sounding like the devil. Intolerance and even the use of violence in the service of truth. JP2 sounds like a little bit like Proto-Francis, which is what JP2 was. In the same vein, I too have reaffirmed that the church does not claim to possess a monopoly on truth. That was bad when he said that, because the church, the magisterium, does possess a monopoly on truth. Truth is not a territory to be defended. Well, it has to be defended, and we're to make disciples of all nations. For his part, Pope Francis expressed this: time is greater than space. I never knew what the hell that meant when he said time is greater than space, but I guess it means don't spread the gospel, because Francis also said that pretty clearly. So what matters most is not occupying positions of power or defending cultural strongholds. I guess that's what Pope Leo XIV reduces spreading the gospel to, like Francis, but grows over time within the concrete interweaving of lives, communities, and cultures. That is just not true. That if you just live with pagans or unserious Christians or Jews, dare I say, or Muslims, they're just going to see how nice you are to your gay son, and you go to his wedding and you root for your gay son to be able to buy children to groom or whatever, then the Muslims are going to see how good that is. They're going to see the inherent altruism, and they're going to want to be Christians. It's bullshit. It doesn't work. It's boomerism. He is a boomer. I know there are good ones, but most of them, 96 to 97% of them, can't help themselves. Spread the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. No one, for St. Francis, didn't say that. But
everybody's
Francis,
Catholic mom thinks St. Francis said that.
Boomer Catholic mom thinks Francis said that. Yeah. So that's good enough there. Paragraph 25. The just war being outdated. Let's look at that paragraph. I think I know where it's at. I'm going to come here. I didn't need to go through the goods of this thing, in quotes, because I'm giving him credit for those things, real credit, but once you start reading, it can turn into a long.
What paragraph are you on?
Well, I want to go to 192, just war theory,
Okay, because I can put that on the screen. Let me.
Yeah, 192. Well,
so
there's
long.
some stuff. It's so long. And he's using this technique, legal technique of papering us under. So he buries the bad stuff in here the way Francis would, but people can go through it fast.
192.
To all of this, the media and digital dimensions are adding new and decisive elements. Communication networks, fragmented information environments, and algorithms that reward conflict can magnify polarization and resentment, increase propaganda, and make shared discernment more difficult. Thus, war is not only fought, but also culturally conditioned through simplistic narratives, a friend or foe mentality, disinformation, and fear. This sounds like it was written by AI, if I'm being honest. When historical memory fades and the ethical principles that protect civilians and the most vulnerable are weakened, it becomes easier to justify violence as necessary, inevitable, or even sanitized. It is in this context that humanity is slipping into a violent culture of power, where peace no longer appears as a responsibility to be taken on, but as a fragile interval between conflicts. I mean, look at America's foreign policy. If you would just say Zionism's evil, Israel's evil, and we need to oppose both, then I would be like, that's cool. But he's not saying that. He's describing vaguely the fact that America keeps going to war, and he, like Francis, I think, is a big critic of America. But I don't think he's a critic of America for the right reasons. He says, today more than ever, without prejudice to the right to self-defense in the strictest sense, it is important to reaffirm that the just war theory, which has all too often been used to justify any kind of war, is now outdated. Whoa, what? What? Just war theory? I'm talking by the Roman Catholic, like, expositors of it. We haven't abandoned. I mean, it's St. Augustine, St. Thomas. A lot of the Salamanca guys defend just war theory. Natural law tradition people, Aristotle has grounds for it in both the Nicomachean Ethics and the Politics. Suarez, these are some of the best minds, all top 10 GOAT all-time minds that are just war theorists, and it's noted as part of the natural law. It can't be obsolete. Now, Donald Trump or some kooky old vile Zionist like that, someone in his cabinet might have claimed it's a just war that we're engaging in, and that's not true. But you can't say all too often it's been used to justify any kind of war, and that just war theory is outdated. This is nonsensical. Thomas Aquinas is outdated? Come on. Humanity possesses far more effective and capable tools for promoting human life and resolving conflicts, such as dialogue, diplomacy, and forgiveness. This is just, I agree, but you're not going to do away with war when countries are incentivized to go to war, largely on behalf of Israel. The use of force, violence, weapons reflects a relational poverty that always has disastrous consequences for civilian populations. Look, I'm anti-war. I love peace. This just sounds, at best, naive. At worst, it sounds like he's trying to avoid identifying, naming, enumerating who are the actual war hawks. And at worst, if you start condemning just war theory, this is a problem. Remember when Leo gave his condemnation of the U.S. Israel-Iran conflict?
I was just about to bring that up. Wasn't he kind of good on that? What'd you say?
Well, he said don't get involved, but he was saying you can never fight a foreign war. And I said something on the show that day. I was like, well, wait, you can. Under just war theory, you can if it's fully if it meets muster on the 5 elements, or depending on how you look at it, 6 elements of just war theory, you can. And he says war is always bad, but it's got to be the very last option. When a war is just, it's not bad. It becomes a conditional good. And I said that at the time, and I was like, I think he's operating extrinsic to just war theory. And I didn't never know that in the near future he would revisit this and make it explicit, but he did. And I said it on a show. I don't remember what the show was. It probably was America Goes to War, Oh No, or whatever I called that show. But just war can't be outdated. The next paragraph, 193 as well, called Force Without Limits, is worth reading. The growth of the military-industrial complex has become a defining feature of the current political landscape and has become a key sector in the economy of various countries. I like that. I like that. Okay. So don't say I'm not giving credit where due. I like that. The military-industrial complex makes it into this thing, and that's good. Has nothing to do with just war, though, and he continues to critique just war. The close link between economic interests, the military apparatus, and political decisions produces an armed nation. Oh, can we just say Israel? Can we say America, war hawks? In which war appears as a natural extension of politics. Can we say Israeli geopolitics? And the arms market becomes an autonomous driving force behind military decisions. I'm down with this, actually. Nor can we ignore the enormous economic interest behind war. The armaments industry and the countries that supply weapons profit from a market that thrives precisely on conflicts. In this sense, there are also financial interests that contribute to fueling tensions in various regions of the world. But I mean, come on. It's not the gun companies that are fueling war in the Middle East. It's Israel. Because they for a few nefarious reasons. I won't get all into it, but I like what he says in 193, but he's dodging the real question. And what he says in 192 is ghastly, that just war theory, that the natural law can be wrong on this. Come now. See here, son. I mean, Holy Father, come on. So, okay. Now, let's go, if we shall, to paragraph 198. He says, sometimes there's talk of artificial moral agents as if machines were able to distinguish between right and wrong with greater consistency than a human being. Yet moral judgment cannot be reduced to calculation, for it involves conscience, personal responsibility, and the recognition of the other as a person. Fine, that's great. That's fine. Therefore, it is not permissible to entrust lethal or otherwise irreversible decisions to make to artificial systems. No algorithm can make war morally acceptable. I like this. I cited this as one of the good 6 things. AI does not remove the intrinsic inhumanity of conflict. Indeed, it can only bring about conflict more quickly and render it more impersonal, lowering the threshold for resorting to violence, transforming defense into threat prediction, and thus reducing victims to data. In this way, it will accustom us to the idea that violence is inevitable and needs only to be optimized. This does not diminish the importance of instilling, as far as possible, values and sound judgment into the artificial systems we build so that they can contribute to a moral ecosystem in which humans are better able to listen to their own consciences, as well as allowing AI models to establish appropriate boundaries. So this is where he's going to kind of be introducing not the individual human conscience. I like what he said here, but he's laundering in not human conscience of individuals as the guidance. He's going to be laundering in global governance in ways that I think are insidious. Where is it? Non-negotiable requirements, crisis of multilateralism. So I want to he gets into insinuating they're kind of peppered in. They're not whole paragraphs that are on it. So in my notes, he talks about global governance, human global governance, as the solution. I think individual conscience is good enough. I don't like the insinuated globalism here. Let me check paragraph 118. There's something noteworthy there that I wanted to mention that was related thematically to what he's saying is good. Of course, we don't want robots deciding whether we go to war or not. Think of that 1970s movie, War Games, kind of tacky, cheesy movie, but interesting in some ways.
118 I have on the screen.
Yeah, our relationship with life seems to be in crisis today. Everything that appears as a limit, incapacity, illness, old age, suffering, vulnerability, I like this, tends to be seen primarily as a defect to be corrected. This is remember what I said about just we're being removed from life with all its joys and sorrows.
Even cell phones have been doing this. I noticed, people just on their cell phones, like not even doing AI, just like scrolling social media. Or it's just like they've completely dominated everyone's life. You can't even just have a moment now without everybody thinking you have to capture everything.
Right, exactly. And I'm down with this.
Which is why, ladies, by the way, Catholic ladies, get rid of your cell phones.
Right.
Like, I have never been happier than I've been on year 3 now of not having a cell phone. Just get a house line.
Yeah, and then anything can creep back in, but you have the laptop, and even then you will catch yourself. Oh, I'm using the laptop like a phone. And it's like, I need to put this away and just enjoy the simple.
Enjoy my
lovely
children and my husband and my life.
Yeah,
it's just
we're
not
all
that long.
still a little young. He says, and yet we must remember that humanity flourishes not despite limitations, but often through them. This is beautiful. I like it. The light of faith offers a perspective on reality that helps us recognize what we call the contingency of the things of this world. This is well written here, actually. Well, it is right to strive to alleviate the suffering that marks human life. It is also wise to acknowledge our fundamental finitude, knowing that religious experience, in particular Christian faith, I wish he would have just said Christian experience, propose that we live without oversimplification, this ambivalence between human greatness and limitation, interpreting it in light of our original and fundamental relationship with God. See, this is what I wish he had said in regard to the human conscience when he's saying global. We don't need global governance. We need individual human Christians who they should be our leaders, the best Christians, to say stuff like this. Wow, that looks really far away. So I'm still mixing in the good elements with the bad elements, because he says, we don't want AI making our decision for us. We must reject autonomous killing. But then he's insinuating here global governance in a few places, and I find it kind of insidious. Now, in other places, he critiques free enterprise, which is not the end of the world. The church has done this. I think it's kind of boomerish to get overly, I like free enterprise, but it's boomerish to get overly worked up for or against free enterprise. This was just like the main thing that people in the 60s and 70s, and I guess even 80s, thought marked you as a rightist or a leftist. I am a free enterprise guy. But it's corny to talk about, and he can't resist here in 109 taking some shots. I mean, there's a rightly ordered free enterprise that really hasn't been tried here. I tend to be an Austrian guy when it comes to this, but we don't need to get into it. He says in 109, the principles of social doctrine offer a framework for understanding this new reality. In a world where data, computational resources, and regulatory influence remain in the hands of a few, to speak of the common good means exposing this new form of epistemic, economic, and political asymmetry, and naming the new monopolies of AI. To speak of the universal destination of goods means finding a way of ensuring universal access to both technologies and the education needed to use them. This starts sounding like it become an Apple school. Even low-income urban schools need Apple iPads. When he gets into the economic critique, the poor, I'm a kind of corny white guy. I mean, sorry, but I'm not trying to. I'm a white guy who goes to Peru, and I speak Spanish, and I like the little pygmy brown people of Peru, which is in his background. It just gets really corny, and it contradicts what he's saying. And you hear the resounding critique of free enterprise here just through him saying, every education needs to use them, and we have to share that technology. What you want inner city schools to be Apple schools? I was a teacher. It's terrible to spread around the use of AI. They need chalk and chalkboards, and they should be happy that we're supplying them with public education. He says to speak of subsidiarity calls for protecting the ability of communities to make choices and corrections rather than confining their role to mere oversight after the standards have been set elsewhere. Now, I like that, but he's kind of hinting at global governance and critiquing free enterprise through the lens of global governments. So he's saying one thing and doing the opposite. To speak of solidarity obliges us to recognize the hidden, often exploited workers who sustain algorithmic systems. Oh, come on. What algorithmic workers are being exploited? To speak of justice requires questioning the global distribution of power that decides who in fact can train these models and who is merely subjected to them. How about, we critique Epstein and those kind of elites that are kind of snowbirded by Israel, and we can talk about world banking. He's not getting into the real meat and potatoes, though. He's just going to standard fare 1970s Keynesian critiques of enterprise, and I don't like it. I don't need it. It's not the end of the world. I'm not one of these guys that like gets red-faced and angry and trembling with a quiver in my voice if you say something bad about free enterprise. We can disagree, but it's just corny. That's what I'm saying. To speak of justice requires questioning the global distribution of power, I'm repeating, that decides who in fact can train these models and who is merely subjected to them. Likewise, it means acknowledging that social justice is not only a goal to be safeguarded but after technologies are deployed, but a condition that must shape their very design from the outset. I don't see what that has to do with AI. I mean, he's just getting in his tired old boomer lefty talking points. What does this have to do with AI? So there's a lot of like, what is that? Oh, yeah. There's okay. So let's get to critique number 5. There's dialogue and engagement with the modern world that he's enjoining us to do that just sounds like Vatican II. Sounds like Vatican II stuff. It's not the end of the world. It's corny, again, boomer language, and so it's a roundabout critique. And he's gonna, in the 6th, I think, corny lefty talking point, flashpoint, he's gonna talk about positive engagement with technology. That's not all bad, and we've already covered the way you could bifurcate this and say some of the things he's saying about positive engagement with tech is good. Some of it's rather corny, like when he's talking about, we need to make, even poor schools, Apple schools. Not a direct quote, but it's insinuated by what he was just saying. I don't like that. But my 6th critique is not a big one. Yes, we should engage positively with technology. If you take it out of the context that he's steering this toward at times, then I have no problem with it. The way he steers it with his sort of corny white guy who goes to Peru, I'm going to speak Spanish without an English accent, white guy mind. Really cool. The corniest guys in the world, the ones that try to speak a language, white people who try to speak a language without an accent. They're the same corny guys that say when here in America, when some foreigner comes here and they're speaking English with some accent, they're the ones like, no, never do accent reduction. Don't pay a speech pathologist for accent reduction because your accent's beautiful. Okay, if you think accents are beautiful, then speak Italian the way Father Kevin L. Flannery spoke it, my mentor at the Greg. He'd be like, come ho menzionato. I mean, he was fully fluent, but
I love that.
Instead of come ho menzionato, the burrito.
Yeah, it's like when white guys try to say enchilada.
Enchiladas y tacos.
It's like, just say it like a person, a white guy.
Rock y rap. I hated those guys.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hate, but like, you can bet your bottom dollar. I would bet $1,000 right now that Pope Leo the 14th is one of these white guys that when he was in Peru was like, me gusta los tacos y burritos. Come on, dude. You're white. Own it. You're white. And you as a white guy in America, if some brown guy from an armpit country comes here and is speaking English shittily, then you're going to be like, oh, that's so beautiful. Slay with your accent. He would do that. So I don't know. I'm getting carried away. The 5th and the 6th, just there's Vatican II dialogue engagement with modern world stuff that just makes you cringe, but it's not necessarily as bad. The worst parts are the just war being obsolete or outdated line that I read you, and the truth not a territory to be defended line. But I'll read you what makes me cringe about the Vatican II style dialogue. Let me get it. Let me look where it's at. It's paragraph 2. Founded on Christ, the living stone, we experience the powerful and mysterious action of the Holy Spirit, and we believe that every authentic human effort to cooperate with him for the good will be blessed by our Heavenly Father, in whom we place our hope. That's fine. For this reason, we can diligently contribute to every initiative that builds a more just world. And we can call others to collaborate in promoting the integral development of every human being. Now, this word integral, this is one of the 2030 talking points, they say integral, and it always means leftism. It always means multilateralism, multiculturalism, globalism. I don't know why, but it's their favorite word. So my antennae always go up, and the feelers always come out when I hear this. Sounds like Francis. Particularly integral development. It's like a global governance thing. We wish to engage in dialogue with all men and women of our time. Not even possible, bro. You know, with whom we share in the events, questions, and aspirations of humanity. Of course, you didn't even need to add that comma clause at the end. Together with them, we seek to identify new paths for the common good. What the actual new paths for the common good? Human flourishing comes about through faith in Christ, the sacraments, and the boring daily path of habituated golden mean virtue. That's it. There's no new way to seek to identify new paths for the common good and promoting a dignified life for all. There's the old ways. Those are the only ways which work. Jesus's ways. Indeed, he continues, openness to dialogue is an integral part of the church's vocation, because constituted in Christ as a sacrament of communion with God and of the unity of the whole human race, she recognizes history as a place where the gospel challenges and directs human experience. See, all I hear you saying is that dialogue is a way to resist the challenge of the call of the gospel. I mean, it's a call for young men, married men, unmarried men, to see a pretty woman walk by and not to harbor lust in his heart. Gets easier with age. There's a kindness to old age, just older men will tell you. But Jesus challenges us with the gospel. He says, hey, if you even look at her with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery. That's a challenge. Now, every left prelate, every leftist priest in the church picks and chooses where they're going to say, hey, the gospel calls us to a challenge. You should take up that challenge. With some of them, challenging straight men to not be horn dogs. All of these lavender mafia prelates and all these men that don't struggle in the priesthood with looking at too many women. That's not their soft spot. That's not their guilty indulgence. They might say, yeah, that's a great challenge of the gospel. But when it comes to, hey, boomers, you can't get a divorce. Stay in the marriage and make it work. Or live separated and don't have sex with anyone. But you don't get to replace that old wife with a young model, or you don't get to replace your boring husband.
What is it? Like, God doesn't care if you're happy.
Yeah, God doesn't care if you're happy in that way. So he's doing the Vatican II two-step of saying the gospel calls us to a challenge. It proposes a challenge, and we want to dialogue with the challenge. What he means is, in some ways, make it easier for certain parties. Some pigs are not equal pigs. And, the gospel also tells you can't be some gay guy that's going and getting his rocks off in a gay guy way. But we don't want to challenge them that way. That would be truth being treated like a territory to be defended. In other words, don't uptake that challenge. Don't embrace it. But if it's a challenge for straight white Christian men, particularly traditional Catholic men, then yeah, challenge them extra hard. Kick them in the neck. That's that Vatican II two-step. The dialogue does not mean engagement with the modern world in a way where you embrace the challenge. Dialogue usually means use bullshittery and casuistry and Jesuiticality to obfuscate, to circumnavigate the simple truth. Can we get a divorce in the modern age? Things are so complicated, Father. Use the synodal path. Use the foro interno. Yeah, Jesus didn't understand 2,000 years ago how complex marriage would be in 2026. We have AI. What if I want like a sex bot? Or why is marriage any more complex now? I hear tons of liberal priests say that. Call them up to take up that challenge. Maybe some woman's husband really is a slouch, not just the proverbial slouch that these feminists always cite to say, he doesn't do anything. He's a no good Nick. Or maybe he's really a hothead. I think feminists create this a million times more often than it's real. A guy's wife, maybe he really did marry a bitch. That happens. I see him all the time. Every time I'm out at the market, I'm like, better you than me, bro. I need a sweet, nice, pretty lady who treats me real good. Better
I don't know if
me.
I told you this, but when we were looking at that one trad van, there's a car parked next to us, and this lady was like yelling at her husband. I don't know if you remember this, but she was yelling at her husband that she wanted the best and the newest.
Really?
Like so cars on the lot. And I was just
was she fat?
Yeah. I mean, always.
Better him than me. So I'm saying, I get it, but you got to tell these guys married to unpleasant women or women married to gross men or whatever, mean men, whatever the thing may be. Hey, you're the putz that married him/her. Deal with it. Get glad in the same pants you got sad or mad in, and deal with it. And that just isn't what the Francis Pontificate stood for. It was dialogue to get around the gospel, not engagement with it, where they want straight white men to have all the challenges they can. Francis, who is kind of a adoptive South American. That's the funny thing about Francis. He was full Italian blood. He was paisano to me, right? I'm not full Italian blood, but Italian on my mom's side. But he was raised in Argentina. Well, we have a similar thing with our new Pope, right? He's a full just white, white American guy. But he's one of these guys that speaks the Spanish and moves to South America and thinks Pachamama's cool. And he tries not to have the accent, and he says tacos y burritos, all that stuff. I never got along with these guys. So we have the last two popes are adoptive South Americans, and it's really corny. And there's a vitriolic spirit against both free enterprise and straight white North American men like myself, where they want us to have extra hardship. And that's what that Vatican II two-step really does ably, is it pitches engagement with the challenges of the gospel for straight white men and dialogue with it for gay, black, tranny hookers from Mars or whatever. The weirder you are, generally speaking, the more woke and squishy they will selectively not impose the rules on you. But I don't have a problem with the sixth one, positive engagement with technology. I don't think I should have counted that as. He says something corny in one or two of the positive engagement paragraphs, like, make AI available for poor black schools or whatever. That's corny. I don't like that. But generally, I do like, it is good to engage positively with technology. So I don't like the just war is outdated. That's not just hype. That's not one of these things that they can back off on. It's right there in the text in paragraphs 192 and 193. The truth not being a territory to be defended is right there. I think, I forget what paragraph. Is it 25? Critique of free enterprise are peppered liberally throughout. Whoops. Oh, baby. I caught that one. Baby's right underneath.
God bless you. She was like right underneath.
Yeah, just water. But, the critique of free enterprise is annoying. Global governance is peppered in there. But he does do these other things. Contra transhumanism, contra machines replacing humans, robots shouldn't be our masters, rejecting autonomous killing by AI. I mean, are you that insecure, like Pope-splainer people out there that need me to say, okay, this is true. Robots shouldn't be our sex masters. Like he says this. The value of work and labor is good. Okay, boomer. Family's important. Thanks. I didn't get it before. Technology can be abused and make us flabby and lazy. I got it. Transhumanism's weird and bad for human beings. I get it. I'm with you 100%. So he did do some things ably. He took 245 paragraphs to do it in Magnifica's Humanitas. Don't think it required that much. Seems to be the new trick to paper us under. But there's some good stuff. For what it's worth, I like Pope Leo XIII's phrase about preferring, just drinking a little rather than a big goblet with just even a single drop of poison in it is still a poisoned cup. And that's the new way. That's what they do, these post-conciliar popes. They drop the poison in 245 paragraphs to say, AI is kind of weird. It's new. It has some convenient uses, but it gets weird fast. Don't have sex with robots. And people should still struggle after virtue. That's my synopsis. Any questions? Really? We can't do that with robots? Come on, Pope Leo. Shucks.
Friday.
What about sex bots? What if this is extra hard for, middle-aged, like 55-year-old Japanese gentlemen? They're the ones pushing the sex bots on everyone. Should there be a different rule, or is this off limits for them too? I say so. What do you say? Leave a comment. God bless you all. Have a nice Friday evening. We will do our patron friends and supporters only tomorrow. God bless all of you guys. And if you get a robot in the house, don't abuse it emotionally. Don't put it under too much work, physically, sexually. Yeah. God bless. Peace out. Happy Friday.